You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. freedomtalkradio.net.
freedomtalkradio.net in Joe.
Stopnet should be.
Stopnet. Oh yeah, Yar has been having.
Oh,
just
well, I had 50 programs downloaded onto me overnight.
What after
they become embedded, so you delete them.
Yes.
And then they got those little crumbs that are like seeds.
Right.
And one program, 10 times I deleted it. So I finally tracked down a orbiter, which goes in and it'll find the crumbs. And this one program had nearly 500 reinstall programs.
Right.
So it's just, you would never get rid of it. So this was called a deep uninstall.
Okay, wow, we've got some guys over there in the chat room. Hello, John and Rodney and Diana and Roller Skeezer, who says squeak, Adam. I believe, Adam, Yar was telling me a few minutes ago that you were sitting on the lawn outside of McDonald's to pick up some internet, I believe. Oh dear, it is getting to be truly pathetic, isn't it? Now, the formalities. It is Friday the 29th of May 2015 from the home of Blugum at Tugum, Brian Leonard Go Lightly Marshall, the Lord Jesus Christ, announced by Pope Benedict XVI, who retired on February the 11th, 2013. That was the date he announced it, 84 years exactly to the date of the formation of the Vatican City State through the Lateran Treaty. He was divinely inspired to retire. He thought it was to do with ill health and the fact that he couldn't do anything about the filth of the Vatican, surrounded by homosexuals and those calling the shots. He was feeling mentally and physically weakened by it all and unable to do anything
child
about
molesters, Jews,
Yes.
had taken over the entire planet. The last and biggest obstacle was to get a Jesuit in who was a Jew anyhow.
Yes.
So they can bring in the... but to fulfill prophecy is the amazing thing about it, is when he retired, he was still the head of the church as far as tradition was concerned and as far as I'm concerned. So he announces that he's been talking to Christ. So therefore that stops the church right then in its tracks. However, the cardinals won't have anything to do with that. They've all been notified. So they went ahead the next day with the conclave because they put in Bergoglio, and there's your Gog number, Gog and Magog. And he just was narrowly defeated by Benedict, but they wanted to go along with Benedict because he was such an innocent guy, and they totally controlled him in his office. He had no way of communicating with the outside world. Because he was trusting George Gan Swain, who was he's a homosexual, and I looked at him. One glance was enough to say, "Right, he's the Antichrist right there, or the working for the Antichrist." So when the new Pope gets in, he's not a real Pope. First off, he wasn't part of the sacerdotal system.
Sacerdotal, yeah.
So he couldn't be a Pope. Anyway.
Yeah.
You've got to be a priest of a certain order before you can become a bishop, before you can become elevated. So
what it has to do with is the Vatican II rite. That is the hoo-ha that they go to become, first of all, a priest and then a bishop. Under Vatican II, as far as the Vatican I traditionalists were concerned, the Vatican II rite meant that they were still lay people. It wasn't recognised as being tradition nor God divine, etc. And so he was not a sacerdotal monarch under the system that he became a priest in, which was under Vatican II, not recognised by the traditionalists, etc. Now, Adam is just saying, ask Yah to download MCO, capital, all capitals, EMCO. It's called MCO Move On Boot. And he started to say something else. It can, that's as far as he got.
MCO, EMCO, capitals. Yeah, what's it do?
Move on boot.
Moves?
Move on boot. In other words, sounds like it's a system that gives the boot to all these.
I guess.
Yeah, move on boot.
Well, we'll try that.
Oh, right.
This is agony, I tell you. I've been all bloody hours on this bastard of a thing.
It has. It's been hours and hours. He's not been able to do anything. And the interesting part is that you were trying to respond through with an email to a lady who wrote to him telling him all of her health woes and the drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, okay. Rodney says it can rid the PC of self-copying programs. Sounds like, so it's about giving the boot to these. It says, yes, they hide the programs in startup folder, so then the PC boots, you cannot close or delete them. That's exactly what's been happening. It's taken up days at a time here recently doing that. So MCO, Move On Boot. Thank you for that, Adam and Rodney. Now, just to let you know that this is going to be our last show for a while. We have much to do. Not sure how long. It will be weeks. So we're around and we're doing things. But we won't be on air and won't be on the internet much at all in the weeks ahead. So it'll give everybody...
But it is a checkmate.
It is, yes.
It's a done deal, over and done. We set it up, it's taken years to set up, and there's not a thing they can do about it. That's the end of it.
Yeah. So it's all good. And it'll give you all time to catch up with some episodes that you've missed out on or whatever. Oh dear. And I thought, since again we don't have anything planned, and this is another, the last couple of shows we've had nothing of any import to discuss. I mean, nothing important in our world, because everything that's happening in the world of bullshit is not important to us, and it's all the same old fear and tactics, and it really is the separating of the tares and the wheat that is going on. As one camp gets worse and worse and worse as they're exposed, as the righteous get better and better and better. So, it is all good for the good. Now, a bit of a laugh this morning, chatting with John Hall. He's been at it again, acting on all of the information that he has learned. Adam, you'll appreciate this if you don't already know it. I'll just go over to my other page to read. I have his permission to read his experience this morning, because he's there in the Bahamas, and we've been saying to get your passport in order, because it's been held up all over the place and stolen, all kind. So the conversation this morning, when I asked, how is he today? I'm fine, got everything ready for my passport today. Tomorrow I go back. I say, you mean to lodge the application? He says, yep. I say, good. Now, this is John's experience from this morning. He says, this is where John is at Freeport. He says, at first I wasn't getting anywhere with them. They were not helping me. So I asked to speak to the manager. I told him I wanted to talk to him privately. So we went into his office, and and for the record, so this is what John said to the manager of the passport office. And for the record, I accept your oath of office, bind you to it, and extend my sovereign immunity. I'll post these words for all of you. You can learn them by heart. This is John paving the way here. Then he goes on to say, then this changed. Like, remember, he was being stonewalled. So he's taken the passport manager into his office to speak to him privately, not in front of anybody else. And then he says, I accept your oath of office and bind you to it and extend my sovereign immunity. He said stuff started happening. He goes on to say, I think he meant could not find a record of me even having a passport. Imagine that. Now John has. He said I had one, lost it. So I told him that I was tired of being delayed in my travels and I needed this addressed immediately. He asked me if I had gotten the information that they requested, and I said yes, all except the birth police record. So he told me to go get that and come back. John goes on, I go to the police department. They can't find any record of me making a report, even after telling me it was in the system. So this is previously. They had told him it was in the system. However, they can't find any record of me making a report. John goes on to explain that the passport guy had given me his name and number on a piece of paper in case there were any issues. Then John says, I showed it to the officer in charge and people started jumping. John says it was so funny. They literally made one up then, like there and then in front of John, was asking all the information and someone was typing. I say lovely. So John says, so I am waiting. Then the second in charge comes over. He must have been asking, do you need anything? All almost ready. So now they're saying to John, do you need anything? It's almost ready. Then he says, another superior said to his crew, get this white man out of here now. This police station is for niggers. John says, I kid you not. He said, I laughed my ass off. I say, was he joking? He says, no. And then John says, I went back to the passport office and he says they would not accept photos, so he got a new one. I think that's what you meant to say, John. You're a bit like, yeah, sometimes, the dinner plates kick in. And anyway, they would not accept photos, so I got a new one. I go back in the morning, is what he is saying. I say, okay, how long do you wait? He says, as fast as 3 days. We will see. I still have that guy, meaning the passport guy, binding him to his oath, under my charge. He says, I will be a hurry up. Anyway, so imagine that. Get this white guy out of here. This police station is for niggers. Oh. Hi, Ross. Hi, Mark. You in the chat? Did you all get that? And Ross Manley said a few seconds ago, guys, 33, honestly, this computer, internet, a test the patience of a saint. It would, yes, well, it's been testing Yah, the God particle, all morning. Very, very testy. So that is what is happening in John's world. He's having fun. Yes, you're all having problems with the internet. Yeah. So is God. So it's all good for the good. Now, what are you up to over there, babe?
Still uninstalling program.
Still uninstalled. Did you get the M code?
Yep.
You got it downloaded.
I'll be playing that in a minute.
Okay, so yes, John says I was laughing my ass off. An appropriate response. Get this white man out of here. This police station is for niggers. John, what colour was he? What colour was the one? Was he a white man, or was he one of those that he said it was for? Yeah. Anyway, just let us know. All right. Well, that's it for the show today because.
Lots to talk about.
Well, you go. I've got a whole bunch of your songs uploaded in case.
That's right. No,
oh no, he was black. Yeah, he was a black man.
Right.
Yeah. Good. So Mark says computers love me. They do exactly as they are told. Ross says angels and demons laugh out loud. Yeah, it's getting rather spectacular out there. Go on, babe. What have you got?
Well, I was just going to say, just as a roundup of what's happened over the years. When I first kicked off doing this, I knew it was an impossibility to appeal directly to the powers that be because they're all part of the demonic system. I realised very young I was in hell.
Yes.
Now, everyone else didn't realise that because if you make it in the stock market or you're in big business and suddenly you drive around in Mercedes-Benz, hey, that's good. And I met people that lived in beautiful big swank houses, and I was always in with the backhander with the Egyptian handshake.
Yes.
And you got to have the right accountant. That's very important. And these houses are $400,000 or $500,000 in those days.
Yeah.
Today be worth $40 million.
Yeah.
And it was everybody in the know. And then there were sections of the community that were all Jewish. And then I checked out the water just in Melbourne alone, and it was fed by 11 different systems and water treatment and the various things they put in the water. We're targeting the elderly in one area, which we went to because I had straw man, and because I worked out the straw man that they've got to have. When you give the demons these opportunities, they're going to get you from all directions. Anything that's possible, they can dream up. They get you with their language, they get you with the Bible, they get you with your medicine, they get you with the food, they get you with the air, they get you with a birth certificate, and you've got to be in the club. Now, years ago in America, when they had the railroads going on,
yes,
if they fired someone or laid someone off or something like that, they'd give them a certificate of being laid off. Very nice fellow, blah, 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 recommended, right?
Yes,
but there's a little tiny section that had to be ticked.
Right.
If it wasn't, it means don't hire this bastard.
Ah.
So you got this lovely recommendation off the railroad, right? But you could not get a job anywhere for love of money.
Freemason, isn't it?
Oh, that's how it all worked.
Yeah.
So I had to figure this out at a very young age. Well, because of who I am, I didn't have too much trouble because I just reverse everything as a negative engineering. But it did quite amaze me how deep that they've been able to infiltrate into the soul of man. And not only that, we have the technology today where television was coming in, radio before that, but now then television, and the repetitive of advertising, for example, and then the frequencies of waves that they give off into your boring into your head, and kids will be glued to the set watching Bugs Bunny or something, but they'll be getting bombarded. So it was like what they have here in Australia, if you've got mosquitoes around or something like that, you got this light, a purple light you lay out, that's ultraviolet, And of course the bugs will fly up to it and you hear zip, zip, zip.
Bugs
So
up.
they get drawn into it. Well, everything in this earth is the same as that. They draw you in, then they zap you. Okay. So it was a matter of like pulling back and so, right, well, I'm going to do this in a negative way. I can't do it in a positive way. So I started doing what you would consider, and these righteous assholes out there that say I'm not this and not that, would consider, oh, my God wouldn't do that.
Oh my God, wouldn't say
Well,
that.
I did. I started, if I'm the sovereign, I can make my own money, right? So I did.
That's right, that was the point of minting the coins.
That got me pulled into the Queen's Court,
Yes.
right? And then they realised who they were dealing with, because then they're going to spit me out. And the fine was $1,000, but it's a 14-year jail sentence.
Yes.
14 years, imagine that.
Yes.
And I got in the ear of the arresting officer who was the head of the counterfeit squad in Australia.
Yes.
He's a very nice fella.
Right.
But it just so happened I had rented his brother's house.
Right.
So it was a bit of a coup there, right?
Yes.
So, and I didn't know he was his brother.
Now back up with the fine. The judge said to you $1,000,
The judge said to
and
me,
then there was
his name was Justice Webb. I thought, there he is, Webb, all right.
Yeah.
And he's looking at it, he's up there, he said, I can't tell the difference. He said, he said, $1,000 fine, don't pay with your own currency. Right?
Right.
Well, I said, time to pay. He said, yeah, no worries, right? So I never paid a cent
Of course.
in my currency or theirs.
Yes.
So as it goes on, and then later on, I was set up again, and at this time they were going to have me by cheque fraud.
Yes.
And when I got into the office of this guy who was trying to rip me off, he was so confident because he had checked me out through his Freemason police that I was a counterfeiter. And however, before that all happened, I was taken into the Commonwealth Bank in the main area of Sydney, and called Martin Place, because he had all these jobs that he had done and he couldn't get anybody who was smart enough to do them. And I said, yeah, I can handle them. But in doing so, I had to get a top security clearance, which I got. And then going into the building, down in the dungeon of the building was this gigantic computer which was used to control the world. This is from Sydney, Australia, right? So you think it's in the Pentagon? Bullshit. It's in Australia. Because that's where it's not going to get nuked. That's the whole idea of it. So it all goes through Pine Gap, which was then sold out at 54 cents an acre. A guy his property was confiscated, and he bitched about that.
And that resulted in the death of Harold Holt.
That
He was
resulted in
holding
the death
out.
of
He was
Harold
refusing
Holt.
to sell Pine Gap to the Americans.
That's right. So Harold Holt was the Prime Minister of Australia. And he's supposed to go swimming by himself off a secure beach in an army barracks, and he disappears.
Yeah.
Well, we later found out that there was a young guy who was in that ultra secret type deal.
He was
taking the body.
Australia's equivalent of a Navy
He put the
SEAL.
body.
He hooked the body to a peg on the ocean floor,
yeah.
and he knew it was Harold Holt.
Well, he's seen his hair and he zipped it up, right?
That's right. And
So
then
they got
later he
rid of
was
him
dumped.
So that's how they operate. And Australia is way ahead of the game when it comes to spies, right? You think the Mossad's smart? Like, Australians are very, very clued in people, I'm telling you, right? You cannot... Some of the funniest things you can do is go to a pub, especially down near the wharfs in Australia,
Yes.
and
The
talk to the
wharfies.
guys, and they're all as sharp as.
The wharfies.
And they make a joke out of it. So they are hilarious. And I went down there a couple of times with my brother-in-law. So underestimating Australians is a very big mistake.
Yeah, they're mostly all criminals in business.
Well,
I'm
They had the
talking
bottom of the
about
harbour scheme here, that everyone was a criminal.
Yeah, and the building of the Parliament House that took years and years and years, and overpayment, all the rest of it, because the contractors were just rinse and repeat, do the same thing over and over again, and just literally shoveling dirt around.
That's right. Now, what happened there, when they rebuilt like Parliament House, was a lovely old historic building. They should have kept it as it was, because how much power do you need in a computing database to run Australia? Fuck all. So what they did, they built this beautiful lake down there, and then eventually built, it's called Burley Griffin, designed by an American. Canberra was designed by an American, all on Freemason symbols. And I went down there as a kid. And the funny story about that is I'm sitting at this table, and the most arrogant people of all time.
Oh, yes.
And no one talks to nobody.
Mm.
So we're sitting at this hostel table, there's me and my brother and another guy, and he didn't speak to us at all for 3 or 4 days. Right? So I'm talking to him, and I said, my brother said, what if these assholes down there, they won't even look at you.
Mm.
So this guy here, I'm talking, he looks up, right?
Mm.
I said, how are you going, mate?
Yes.
And then he sort of, finally someone's talking to me. He was sort of in shock, right? He said, I hate this place, I'll be glad I've got this bloody job here. I said, I'm working casual. He said, I'll be glad when the job's finished and I get back down to Tasmania.
Right.
I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. It's a casual job, yeah. I said, how long have you been here? He said, 13 years. He sat at the table for 13 bloody years.
Waiting for somebody to talk to him.
So it was unbelievable. But that's Australia at that time. So the bottom of the harbour deal was that you've got to be a criminal, you've got to be in the police, you've got to be a politician, and it was so rampant that they even had coppers there. One guy was called Bumper Farrell. Mm. So anyone who was rising up in a criminal fraternity that wasn't one of them, he was sent out and shoot him.
Right.
A friend of mine bought an old Hudson car, and there was this brain all scattered across the top of the ceiling of his car from the driver's seat, where Bumper Farrell just walked this guy out and shot him in the head. Right, blew his top of his head off. So that's what was going on. So I thought, well, hell's bloody bells, right? So I thought, well, the only way I can beat him is to do him in a backhanded way. And that is get this job where this guy takes me down with his top security to this huge 2-story high thick plate glass with 3 soldiers standing in front of it. Yes. In the prone position.
Do you remember the address?
What? Yeah, Martin Place.
Martin Place, yeah.
Yeah, Commonwealth Bank.
Yep.
And I said to this guy, what the hell are these doing here? Because we had to go on the secret bloody elevator down to it.
Yeah. And
then go through that to a job where one of his guys had done and couldn't fix it. Yes. And I'm going down to fix it.
That's right.
And I said, what's this for? He said, oh, it's a super computer runs the world.
Yeah.
So you're joking. He said, if you make a move towards them, they'll shoot you. Mm. Oh, I'll see you later. So we go out another door, down the hot corridor, and where this little thing had to be fixed, I fixed it, and that was it. Right?
Yes.
So that's how I learned about the supercomputer. But when they built Australia's Parliament building, on this Freemason thing that they set up, years ago when I was there as a kid. So when I go somewhere, usually there's a reason for it. So I had learned Canberra back like the back of my hand, right? So when they built this bloody new system, a mate of mine, quite a character, we used to call him Morgan Small Organ, right? There's a reason for that. But he was at a party, and there's this buddy he'd worked with, his 2 sons were in Asia, and they were all pissed, right? And he told him what his sons had told him, right? He said they had built this thing under the 2000 Olympics, where all they got the public to pay for the computers,
the buildings, right?
And then there was a Y2K and all that bullshit.
Yes.
So they set up this supercomputer in the bottom of this dungeon of Canberra. Right. Where the whole world is going to be controlled by it. It's all part of the New World Order. Yes. This comes right from the guy's himself. Yeah. Right? They were involved in it. So I thought, whoa, okay. So I get this job with this fella, and when I could do things that these other men, he had 600 jobs he couldn't fix. Right? He'd done thousands of jobs. So he asked me if I'd do it. I said, yeah, I'll do it $35 an hour. Right? If I take the crew with me, they're $35 an hour. Right? So sometimes I had 4 men on a job, right? Right. Well, he got to the point he didn't want to pay me, but he got his money back out of all these 600 jobs that were floating around. So I didn't do all of them, did a lot of them. So as it turns out, he's going to rip me off for 20 grand because he had found out that through his buddies in Freemason police that I was a counterfeiter. Yes. And he finally I tracked him down. He was going overseas, and I went into his office. And there's all sorts of schemes going on. Give me a cheque written in pencil, and I'll take it to a bank, written someone else's name, and then get the bank manager to pay for it, give the cash and all this kind of stuff. And then they just rub the bloody cheque out, right? Right. And all this kind of shit, right? So he's going to give me a cheque, $4,050. I said, you're a little short there. And he said, who would the police believe? A fine upstanding businessman like myself or a counterfeit? Right? And I said, who would my uncle believe was head of the taxation department? He'll go through you like a bag of salts. So I just went through his books, as a matter of fact, with all these Maxwells was made out to.
Yes.
Maxwell is actually a mountain on Venus, volcano, largest volcano in the world, in the solar system. So named after a mathematician who outsmarted Einstein. Probably. So anyhow, so he slipped the cheque across to me, and it had made out to B. Marshall. And I said, no, make it out to P. Marshall. So he took it back, he made it out to P. Marshall, Pauline, and then gave me the cheque. He said, fill it in for what I owe you.
Yeah, because he owed you $24,050.
Well, approximately. I just added a 2 in front of that to do, right? So I got $24,050, and I filled it out in my handwriting. So some months later, his partner found out about it, but what he was doing, he was spending it on whores and gambling because he thought he's going to get me for 20 grand, no worries, right?
Yes.
And of course, once his partner, who was a Catholic, found out about it, he didn't know that he was with the whores. He just said, oh, Marshall ripped me off for 20 grand, right?
Right, yes.
So I get charged. Then I go to Canada, come back exactly 8 years later, and of course I'm arrested again as I came in at the airport. I told them I was coming. I said I want to be arrested. Right? They delayed me a day, and then they got into my computers and altered or ruined the hard drive on my computer, and had all these tape backup systems, little tiny things in those days, Warbit or something I was called, and they changed passwords on it. So I had to go into it. The computer wouldn't work. I had to get that fixed. Went up to the local computer store that had just moved in at the same time as I arrived back in Australia, and next to the chicken shop. So I go in there, there's 3 big guys in there, right? They look like federal police, which is sure. And I said, oh, how long have you been here? He said, oh, 7 years, whatever. So I walked out and asked the chicken people next door, how long have they been here? No, they moved in a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
When I moved back to Australia.
Yeah.
Then I also went to the bank manager and asked him. Same story. So they charged me $168 to fix the PC on the hard drive, which is 168 days a year. It's a Star of Bethlehem, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, they're playing with me, right? So I paid them $168, and then I had to get another screen that was stuffed up as well. So I bought an old little tiny box screen, like a thing that they use for doing all sorts of things in factories. But it was just a little tiny 12-inch screen in those days. I had to do it, it's all I could afford, right?
Yes.
So at least I got up and running again. However, the programs that I bought with me, which I was able to revive and reinstall, when it worked out, I had the one that could tell you how many lunations between the Star of Bethlehem and my birth, and it was $24,050. So I naturally stuck that out their ass as well, right? So they tried to get me for this crime. I go into court, and they had all my court records from Canada, right, which is bullshit. It was a New South Wales court.
Yeah.
And the guy that was a witness against me, he was a next door neighbour of the job I'd done where it originally started. Where this guy's house was full of white ants, and I repaired it all. And from there, I went and do other things to do his factory and on his partner's house and did all this work for him, right? And then finally ended up at the bank to find where the supercomputer is. All circumstantial.
Yes.
Like I see my tracks, I go, shit, here we go. Well, I wonder what's going to happen next. So, as it turns out, this is how it all came about in the first place. It was a series of synchronistic steps that when you look back on it, you see it's all planned out, which I didn't do. I just instinctively done it, so I did do it. But you can't record it in the human body because the mind of the creation is only downloaded little bits at a time because I can't handle it all. That's how it works, right? So I just do what I do at the time. Now I've forgotten what the fuck I was talking about.
You're talking about the supercomputer, Commonwealth Bank. You've been around the world and counterfeited, and
Check.
the guys at the
Paid out to Pauline.
Right.
And of course that then means that I'm charged with a cheque that I altered and my wife cashed. I didn't do it. I didn't cash it. They can't prove that I filled it out because space is by law that this goes back to 1827 law of the House of Lords.
Mercantile law.
Mercantile law of Australia that when you fill out a cheque, you've got to make sure it's not alterable.
Yeah, so it was up to the dude that wrote it. Whose cheque
wrote it. So it doesn't matter who's it written out in.
No.
If he's given me a blank cheque and I write it out and
It's
go
up to
cash
him.
it, he's already signed it before he fucking gave it to me. Therefore, It's legal,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But the point was, it wasn't my cheque anyhow. I could have at any moment said, Nick, it's made out to my wife. She cashed it. It's nothing to do with me. But they would have arrested her, right? Or tried to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
By then she was in Australia, in Canada.
Right.
So I thought, I'll go along with this. This is working out great. And it turns out the 24,050 lunations between the Star of Bethlehem, Carl Sagan
Yes.
had that in his program, or Easy Cosmos, which is correct. Right? And the sunrise to sunset was 855 minutes, sunrise to moonrise was 888 minutes, exactly the same as 11th of January for Sydney.
Right.
So you've got Bethlehem and Bethlehem. Why? Because Bethlehem is the word Ephraim. Ephraim is the ancient prophecies, and this is all laid out what they're going to do. And of course, the United States is Manasseh, England is Joseph, and Australia is Ephraim. Australia is a big stick.
Yes.
Right? They've already got America screwed. They've got Obama in there, and that's the whole plan's all set up, right? Bringing in fucking Muslims and whatever. But Australia's different, right? They're smarter. You can't get over Australians. When they get their back up, that's it. So now they know it's spreading like wildfire that Christ is back and he's a fucking Aussie. Would you believe it?
And
right?
Silla's group, I noticed this morning, is up to 1,222 members.
Well, there you go. Now, as it turns out, the sunrise to sunset gives you 888 minutes, to moonrise is 888 minutes. But in space with his latest programs, which is offline, you can measure the distances to the planets. Now, you go from Jupiter. Why Jupiter? It's 888,800 miles wide. That's your Jesus number. It's also the Gematria for Matthew 123, 8880, which most of you know that, but if you don't, new people coming in, you can see what I'm going. So, what's that mean? Well, when my daughter was born in Port Alberni, Canada, 888 minutes. I shagged her mother 280 days later, before that, which is a fucking great feat on my behalf, I can tell you, to get her pregnant. This bastard, I want to punch her in the face every time I looked at her, right? This evil bastard. So anyhow, that was when Jupiter was overhead for 888 minutes. So we've got a synchronicity happening here. So what happened was, when she's born, I got to then find Mary Magdalene. That took some doing. Right? I mean, I had to go to a dance one night, and there she was. That's how much searching you had to do. Out of 20-odd million people in Australia,
yeah.
I got to go to Melbourne, which I'm not allowed to because I'm on bail, which I did.
Right,
anyway.
so this is years later, because you've gone from the birth of your daughter to now.
I got to now
20
find
years
how
later.
it connects up to Mary Magdalene, because she has the job that chose to do nothing, and Martha was going to do the work. Well, here's Martha on the other side of the table. So I got to find Mary Magdalene. Well, sure enough, she is one fuckbit. Right? But she did have a daughter by immaculate conception, she told me. Right? So as it turns out, the difference in ages then link up between my children and her mother to give us 1 Chronicles 5:13, which shows a value of blah blah blah, which gives you my date of birth, which gives you the pyramid dimensions of the great pyramids in the King's Chamber and so forth.
Yeah, all the antechamber,
Everything.
which is the key
And
of
the
house of
antechamber,
David.
it all was fit into place. So now I've got a checkmate on my hands. Right? Trouble is then, is how do I get it into the minds of the masses? Because I'm totally cut off. Hell is what it is. Hell means cut off God every chance you get. And that's what the prophecy is. Forbid Christ. Right? Now Christ is not Jesus, it's not God. Right? It's the three of them together.
Yes, the Trinity.
It's a Trinity. Because I was Jesus, I was God, and I'm still God, I'm still Jesus, but now it's all today within me, and I am the whole idea at the end of this was to have Jesus come down into hell with the blood containing the soul of God. Muhammad got that right. And then to reincarnate, because you can't destroy the soul, and be born a little child in the new Bethlehem wearing the garment of God, the soul on the outside, and that's why they've been trying to kill me for so long. It don't matter. I mean, you think they'd give up by now. But no, they have another go, keep on having another go. So, as it turns out, the planets out measuring from Jupiter when I was born, totaled, you've taken that planet, Saturn, and then inwards. Why Saturn? Well, Saturn gives off 9.42 times the energy it receives from the Sun. 942 is Jesus' number, New Testament, verse total. Get my drift? So, we go and measure my body weight and all those planets as the area of the Shroud of Turin.
Yes.
Same number, in pounds. 7,353 pounds. So I thought, oh, we've got a bloody checkmate going here. So the distance out to those planets measuring from Jupiter inwards from Saturn to the Sun is the number, which is the same number as when New Guinea got its independence and how old I was on that date.
Papua New Guinea.
3168, which is the area or the distance around the Earth, proven by Dexter when he came out.
Yes.
You got all programmed to do that. Good on you, Dexter. 31680 kilometres around the Earth, and that's where Mary Magdalene's house was, which she got from her mother in an inheritance when she lived at 666 Main Road. So there's your 66 number. Right? Got fuck all to do with anything else. It's all to do with me. Right? So, synchronistically. Now, New Guinea, we set up 7 years ago. And it's checkmate. We got the company up there, already was in the Yellow Pages. You'll find a book in the Yellow Pages 7 years ago, and it's got the AIDS cure, Delightly Gold Limited, under medical. Right? Now, it's not there today, but there is old. You go in the archives, just walk in the Yellow Pages office up there, and they've got the old.
But the Delightly Gold Limited listing is
that
still there.
It's still listing
under
as gold dealers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's there. So what does that mean? All of the people that we've cured and the people that knew I was coming by divine inspiration before I got there has organised and told everybody that in their tribe, which is about 1/4 of the population, that Christ came and cured him of AIDS.
This is one man.
Right? So we're going up to there to hand the company over to them. Right? And that means they can trade gold or do what they fucking like. And who set it up for them? Jesus Christ. So therefore you go back to the 26th of August 2011 when they went to the government and got given a nationwide holiday, public holiday.
Repentance Day.
Repentance Day. Because in the Repentance Day application to the government, they want Jesus Christ himself, the Lord God himself, to come and run their country for them.
To lead the nation.
Well, guess who's going to fulfill that prophecy?
They're so sick to death of the corruption within the government officials, all of the politicians, that they were pleading and dedicated days of prayer in their churches that God would come and lead their nation.
So in other words, they're looking at God as being a man like Jesus was. They haven't been corrupted and bullshitted. They've had their bullshit, but they don't get it, right? Because they're native people, and when you've got a minister yapping to you, all they hear is Jesus Christ. That's all they want to know about, right? They're comforted. They've got it. They understand. So we're going up there, right? We've already handed the company over to them. That's yours. We're just going up and show them how to do it. Well, you do this, do that. These are your principal people, blah, blah, blah. See you later. Sit back and coast in. Is that not that checkmate?
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
So we had to get a permit to go up there. When you're a business people, you have an ability to get a particular visa that will let you do almost anything you want. But you can't work.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not.
But you can organise.
Yes, you can have meetings organised.
Organise, form companies, do what you like.
Yes.
Right? Talk to as many people as you like, go to the government, whatever, and you're not breaching any regulation because most of the companies up there are owned by Australians. BHP, give me a break.
BHP is.
Right.
ExxonMobil is the USA. So
well, Exxon, yeah, but they're controlling the fuel, but the fuel itself is they're taking the fuel from the people who own it. Which
yeah,
are
that's
natives.
right. Yeah.
So it's a sovereign thing. It's what John's talking about. They're sovereign owners. You can't take it off them. Right? You can let them.
Well, they're
trying to.
Totally. They're trying to fleece them. This is the point. The level of trust is zero.
Well, I just don't trust white men because they've been screwed so many times, right?
But they don't trust each other either.
Don't trust each other, no. Which is a good thing. Some of these Highland natives, they are a strange lot. But the Pacific people, they're different. They're tall, black, as... Talk about niggers, if you want to call them that. I mean, John, if he'd took a couple of these guys in with him, they'd have been niggers for sure. They're black as. The word nigger comes from Niger,
Yes.
the country, and those people are very black. So that's where the nigger word. It's
Yes,
not
like
really, it's not an insulting name, but it just means that you're black.
No, yeah.
But
Just like
in
Dr.
America, it's
Ben.
derogatory.
Dr. Ben, he's really, really black, isn't he?
Ben is, yeah. And
Dr.
so is
Ben.
Matthew's black as. Nick's is black.
Very dark.
Remember the thing we sit in the airport? And he was saying, oh, his hands, was a little bit blacker around the, they have the white, pink stuff.
Yes.
And it was getting a bit blacker now. And I said, I've got bad news for you, Nick. And I said, what's that? I said, you are as black as you.
But they are different shades of
Different
black
shades
and
of
chocolate.
black, yeah.
Different. You've got your chocolate colours, and then you've got your dark. Different grades of chocolate. Depending on the percentage of cocoa.
Very nice people. We found that speaking to them on the phone that their English has improved dramatically.
Oh, Adam, thank you, Adam. Our lawyer here says Niger is Latin for black.
Yeah.
There you go, all the Nigers. So we rephrase the supervisor. This police station is for Nigers only.
Nigers, y'all.
Forward.
Yeah, so it's a checkmate, slam dunk. We're some days ahead of the schedule of the red blood moon, but the chosen people, lovely race, though, aren't they?
Yes,
You
they
gotta
are.
admit, I love Jews.
Yes.
I love them.
Oh,
we wouldn't be if we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the Jews. So it's
Swedge.
hey,
Swedge rhymes with reg.
Think about it. You're in a battle, and you're a victory over them, but you use your enemy to your advantage. Your enemy's enemy is your friend.
Yes.
Right? So the Jews have done a wonderful job of corrupting the world totally, and therefore making an easy job for me to straighten it out. Right? It makes me a hero. Right? The only, like, if I were to come back, let's say the world was running perfectly, and I walk back, I'm back, hello, little proof, fuck off. Right?
It's you.
Who the fuck are you? Right? We're doing all right.
Yes.
So, if the world is hell, then it gives me an insight into being able to how to outsmart these bastards and get in there and cure the innocence. You've got to be like, you could say about New Guinea people, they're innocent as children.
Yes, they are. They're delightful.
They are
And
okay, they say they hack each other up occasionally.
oh, they drop out of
They all
trees.
carry bloody.
Drop out of
They
tree
all
machetes.
carry machetes or razors sharp. Like, look at them fly over, you could end up losing an ear or something. Yeah, so it's.
But they
They are lovely people.
96% of the nation love Jesus, and we're talking about they go to their churches and they live righteously. You can't get into the country, as
de facto,
like just living together, like travelling together have to be married. Pretty much, you can't. No, they don't suffer immorality, and I mean, it has its problems, of course, and but that's all sorted out mostly because of a lack of work. We assessed when we were there 7 years
well,
ago. Time on their hands and nothing to do, and the same
country is so
corruption.
wealthy and the people are so poor. It's just staggering.
Oh yeah, it is. It's
Without doubt, they're probably the second wealthiest country in the world per head of population. Australia is the wealthiest country in the world per head of population.
Yes.
What it's got here is just mind blowing. Well, I guess who's going to be taking that over?
Like getting the ball rolling.
So, there is divine things happening. We just go along, stagger on, and the dark of the eyes closed, and it'll just happen anyhow.
Yeah, all right. Shall we tell about yesterday's little
Yeah,
mail? All right, so we've... yes, Adam Reg was in the life of Brian too. Yeah. He was born in Capricorn and his stepfather was... And there's a Reg.
What are you doing?
Brian.
What are you doing at 1:01? Wandering around at 1 in the morning? We're the wise men.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we applied for the visa to enter the nation. Now remember,
We didn't really need it in that sense.
Well, we actually did as a tourist.
No.
Yes.
No. We did it all from here anyhow.
What's that?
All the paperwork for the handing over the company.
Oh yeah.
It's done.
That's done. Yeah. I'm not sure.
So really, we'll go up there and just see if there's any little problems. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
It's handed over.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the Yeah, the exploit with the mail,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
mail delivery.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, all right, so we're waiting for our passports to be sent back from Brisbane. We've already sent them the self-addressed express post envelope with the tracking number, and 7-day processing warned us. So I was watching it as it arrived there last week, and then I realised that, I'd left out this little section, so I tried phoning them. Of course, we were cut off totally. Just couldn't even fax, could not get through in any way. So, it's on, they're onto us. So on tenterhooks all week, watching the tracking number. Of course, there was no activity on it. And then we go into town, and while we're...
Or up to the 8th day.
Well, that was then, but before this, up to day 7, we go into town, and there was 2 phone calls from them on my mobile phone, which we'd left at the house. We didn't take it into town with us. We do that deliberately. So the next morning I phoned them, and then they asked questions. Oh, it's all good, just needed this. We figured this out, blah, blah, blah. So now we're watching for it, and we know that it's...
Oh, well, they asked, did we want to go to Bougainville?
Oh, yes, they said, do you need to go to
Bougainville's
Bougainville?
another story. Those people up there, I would say you don't trifle with them.
No,
You'll end up with
no.
Roast guana and mixed veg with a little ash on the side.
There was the Bougainville. That was an actual war.
Well, what happened many years ago, they actually defied the government.
Yes, they did.
And the government flew in with the troops.
Yes.
And they sent them back.
Betrayed them, yeah.
The government betrayed
the
them.
Bougainville army.
So the Bougainville people, they don't trust the government either. Right? Because they know how corrupt it is. But it's extraordinarily wealthy, this area. And of course they still have the problem of exporting what they want to do. Well, the Golightly gold, with the Sepik people now owning it, they can cross over because they're the same people. Sepik and Bougainville are all black ass, right? And they're in trust. And they can handle all their export for them. Right? So I only have one thing I want them to do. Because of giving them the company, I want one thing they've got to do to fulfill. And that is, wherever they go, they've got to take the cures in.
Yes.
Little packets
Yep.
of calcium hypochlorite.
Yes.
And with my name on it.
Yep.
And of course the company is Golightly Gold. So go Golightly Gold. Be on and explaining how we took the cures there and we stopped the pandemic. All you people are still alive today.
Oh, Jimmy's so Jimmy was the one that had the dream. He was dying. He was in his dream. He's stretched out, and he saw Yah coming with the great big German Shepherd. The dog licked him. Yah didn't even touch him.
Which is, of course, Benedict.
The German Shepherd.
German Shepherd.
Yah came with the German.
Well, that's what the Pope is. He's a German Shepherd.
Yes, I know. He's German. Yeah, exactly. That's what. But you bred German Shepherds in your lifetime, so it was all rather amazing. These are the people prepared, and it's all about the prophecy of Joel pouring out the Spirit upon the people of Papua New Guinea, and the gathering of the blackened faces. You can read about that in Joel. Well, that was all being, and the Lord will cleanse their blood. This is what we did, 2008, 2009. We cleaned their blood.
In your Bible program.
I haven't got mine open. Have you got yours?
Open.
And we're almost out of time too. That went quickly, didn't it? I've got to go over here. Oh, go away. Don't you dare download anything on... So hold on, guys. I'm fishing.
I've got one open here. Hold on.
You've got one open? Okay.
What are you looking for?
Well, Joel, I think it's...
Cleanse.
Cleanse. The Lord will cleanse. And the gathering... The Lord will cleanse... I don't know.
Faces, is it cleanse blood?
Cleanse their blood. The Lord will cleanse their blood. So, yes, we're in the book of Joel right now. Of course, Joel is...
It's clean blood, I think.
No? Just go to 3:21. It's around this time.
Joel?
Yeah. And back up a few verses because it's only 3 chapters long.
For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion.
Hello.
The world. Zion is the world, for
Right.
the Lord dwelleth in the world.
Yes.
So, what it's saying, we'll translate it. For I will cleanse their blood, those that I have not cleaned.
Mm.
For the Lord dwelleth in Zion. Because we've cleaned a lot of them already, right?
Yes.
So all the ones that haven't been cleaned, we're going to clean them.
Yep.
How long are they going to do it? The company is going to do it. It's already set up.
Mm.
That's part of the deal.
Yes.
If they don't do it, I get the company back.
Yeah.
Or we get the company. When I say I,
And this was the purpose of it from the beginning, to cure the nation.
now it says, but Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation.
Yes.
Judah, I am Judah.
Mm.
Let's get that straight. It's not the Jews. Forget the Jews. Don't have nothing to do with them.
Mm.
Even when they figured they were Jews at the time of the crucifixion, they weren't
They
Jews.
wasn't.
Judah is a tribe. Right? I'm the king of it. That's it.
And there's a lot in New Guinea and throughout Fiji, throughout the Pacific Islands, who believe they are of the tribe of Judah.
They believe that.
You go
of the tribe
to
of Judah.
Fiji and it's all
They all say it.
Oh.
Where they get it from.
right. It's the
In
phone
fact,
ring.
when I was in Rhodesia,
The phone's ring.
we go get it.
It was stopped.
We go get it, didn't you? See what it was.
No, I keep talking about.
There are people that are in Rhodesia and they are black as. You say, well, what tribe are you? Well, they're of Judah. They believe, they even have the same rituals that were when Judah was dispersed. And of course, living in as far down as Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, they, what was it, mobile phone? What?
No, it was the house phone.
Oh. Over the years, they have adapted to that environment and they are very dark skinned.
Hmm.
But they do look more fine featured than the average African. Go down further, they get blacker and blacker.
Hmm.
And boy, I've been all through it. Yeah, so they believe. Now, also in New Zealand, one of the reasons we're going to New Zealand as well, the Maoris also believe they are a tribe of Israel.
Hmm. They do.
And I like the Maoris, they're very big, tough people.
And they moon the Queen.
They move the Queen. When I was living in Sydney, I was living in Bondi for a while. And Bondi is sort of like a place where all the foreigners gather and all parties all the time. So you could be having a bit of a party. Next thing, the door will burst open, there'll be 20 bloody Maoris with their guitars and they'll come out and take over. And they just start playing their guitars and drinking your piss and whatever. But
Yes.
they're very happy, loving people. You can't throw them out because they're big as houses, right?
Yes, they take up the. They can't get through the door.
You're going to get tough with them. But they are lovely people. So they don't take any shit, in other words.
Mm. Mm.
And a lot of them live in Australia.
Yes, we've got a family just over on the corner
Yeah.
there, the entrance to the beach. I had a lovely conversation with,
Yeah.
I think, from memory, Rangaui. She'd
Yeah.
just given birth to a baby boy that she called Peter, P-I-T-A.
Oh, yeah.
And, living with mum and dad who bought the house on the
Now,
corner there.
The sun shall be darkened, and the stars will draw their light. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and after his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of the people, for his strength of the children of Israel. So they are saying they are of Judah.
Yes.
Judah, Israel,
Mm.
king of.
Mm.
They love Jesus. He was the king of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Nazarene.
Yes.
They have no problem with it.
No.
So we're going to make a fortune selling powder up there that's going to turn their skin white.
What does it? Bleaches. I mean, drop it on anything. Takes it. Anyway, time's up.
Yeah.
Time is up.
So you won't hear from us for a little while, depending, because the internet up there is very, very, very expensive, very slow.
Really, really expensive.
It's like 100 and what to get 10.
Well, for 1 gig, $14.90 per gig, and that's on a bundle thing, so that you're paying less per gig than that's what it equated to.
Yeah, right.
So it's not going to be happening. Plus, the houses they're not fitted with, like the place we're going to.
So we won't be spending too much time there unless we have luck into some cash. I don't know, but it's one of the most expensive cities in the world to
It
live
is,
in. Portugal.
totally. To stay in very ordinary hotels, it's hundreds of dollars per night. To rent a car, hundreds of dollars a day.
Well, $250 for a car and $300 for a hotel.
Yeah.
So you're looking at $600 a day.
A day, just to
stay in the shithole.
Yes.
And when we first went up there, we stayed in a brothel.
Yes.
We might be there again.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, we may be there again. They'll remember us if it's the same people. All right, guys. Over in the chat room, once again, thank you. And we'll be back when we're back.
We'll keep in touch. We're going to have to be on the internet from time to time. We go to internet cafes.
Yeah.
And we go and check mail, check Facebook and that kind of thing. And if you ask, want to know anything, then we'll just download it, put it on a stick, do it at home, come back and upload it the next day, because we can't be discussing things for any period of time because of the costs.
Yes.
Right. So there you go.
All right. Okay. So we'll go out with American Trilogy, or Are You Lonesome Tonight? We'll go out with Yah singing anyway. So guys, thank you again for being in the chat room, and
until we meet again.
Until we meet again.
Who sang that? Until we meet again.
Lulu.
During the war.
I have no idea who sang it.
Oh no, was it that?
No, we'll go out with American Trilogy, I think. And then Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Vera Lynn.
Vera Lynn? Here it is.
In the land of cotton, good times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on. Are you lonesome tonight? If you are, serves you right. I'm not sorry we've drifted apart. Does your memory stray to a brighter Sunday when I kissed you and called you apart? Through the tears in your heart, sympathy and prayer, did you gaze at my ghost and wish I had? Is your heart broken? Shall I come back again? No, my dear, that's why you're lonesome
The Go Lightly Martial Art on freedomtalkradio.net.
Adam Yates says thank you, and I can get a few nights sleep because it's the early hours of the morning over there when he's here in the chat room. And he says you could make a fortune with a CD of Yah singing. The day will come, Adam. And Rodney says I'll have to turn on the archives just for comfort tomorrow. Yes, Guy, go to the archives, do some catching up, and do some review. And yeah, so we'll be back when we're back. And,
Just imagine it's happening faster and faster every day.
Yeah. We're one day
We're
closer.
going to go to balls now.
One day closer. All right, later.
We're going to circumcise their balls.
Circumcise their balls. Oh, yuck. All right. Bye, guys.